Yeah, hello everyone, and I am back interviewing people. And today we do have a very, very special guest, Mr. Featham. And could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Fred Featham. I'm originally from the north of England, Stockton-on-Tees. After an odyssey of traveling many, many years ago, I found myself in a beautiful seaside town in Greece called Featham, and I've stayed here ever since.
Wow, it's lovely. And so I know that you are a very renowned artist, and you love your art, and yeah, that's pretty much like me. I love art, and I used to do it a lot when I was younger. It's slowed down a bit now, but I still do love it. And your art exhibition called Forteza, and you do various art styles, and I know your son, and he's been with me, and we met during the Diane Award, and we have a very close link, and he's done a lot for us, and we'd just like to thank you for making such an amazing school. And so could you tell us a bit more about this Forteza art exhibition?
Well, if I start at the beginning, I've always been interested in painting and drawing. When I was a student, I studied fine art and at the same time English literature, which was a great advantage in that when I came to Greece, I could combine my two loves, my two great interests, painting and teaching. I've always painted, and when I was a student, I gravitated towards landscape painting because I loved the colors, the shapes, the contrasts, the different seasons, the sky, the sea, old buildings, and all sorts of different things. But when I remember being a teenager, I didn't like the way I put things down on paper. For example, if you stand in front of a beautiful landscape, you can turn around and see 360 degrees. But when you have to paint it, you're limited to one rectangle. And the problem for me was, where do I put everything? Do I just plonk it in the middle or in the corner? So I decided to study a little bit, and I discovered something really wonderful called the golden section. It's also called the golden ratio. And this was discovered 2,500, 3,000 years ago. In fact, Euclid in Alexandria, hundreds of years before Christ, wrote about it in a treatise. And the ancient Greeks used the principle, which I'll explain in detail, the principle of the golden section, to design buildings, especially the Parthenon, which is a supreme example. So if I can get into that now and explain the way in which I approach composing a picture, where I put the different elements, it's mostly based on this idea of the golden section. So if we see the first image, I can start explaining what it means.
Yeah, sure. Let me open PowerPoint.
Okay. There's a window. This meeting is being recorded. Can that disappear? I can't see the PowerPoint.
Can't you?
I'll just continue, eh? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's gone. It's gone. Now, what is the golden section? It's this very basic idea. We have a line. You see this line in front of you. It's A plus B, okay? A straight line. And the golden section means you find a point on the line that divides it into two parts, creating a harmonious balance. Now, why is that point in that particular exact position? Well before Christ, in ancient Greece and in Egypt, they knew that to find that point, it had to be in accordance with this that you see in front of you. The total length of the line, A plus B, in ratio to A, is the same as A is to be. Now, it sounds complicated, but you'll understand as I go on. Now, this is the golden section. Now, if we take the section A and build a square on it, that's the next one, then the whole thing becomes a golden rectangle. Okay? How did the ancient Greeks use it? If we click on the next picture, can you see the outline in red? This is the Parthenon in Athens. And the Parthenon is a perfect golden rectangle. Okay? Now, about 40 years ago, an American bank decided to use what we call credit cards. Have you heard of a credit card?
Yeah, I have.
How many have you seen in your life?
Oh, probably too many to count.
Well, the proportions of a credit card, the designer then had the brilliant idea of making the proportions a golden rectangle. So if we see the next slide, this is the first credit card. And it's exactly the same shape as the Parthenon. It's got this satisfying, inherent sense of balance. And it's a beautiful design. Now, I mentioned the ancient Egyptians, and you can ask, how did they use it? Well, next click. This is a section of the Great Pyramid. Imagine it's cut in half. The line from the peak to the ground and then to the edge forms a triangle. Okay? And this triangle is half of a golden rectangle. The angle of the pyramid isn't a random choice. It is built on the golden rectangle. That's why the pyramid is such a wonderful shape.
Wow.
Okay. Now, in art, as I said, it's used in architecture. It's used in art. I use it myself in almost every painting. Mozart used it in his piano sonatas, but I can't explain exactly how. But this is a very, very famous example of the golden section in a famous painting. This is the Creation of Adam by Michelangelo. And you can see where the two fingers meet. This is the most important part of the picture. And Michelangelo has placed it on the golden section. Can you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And why do we enjoy and appreciate the golden section? Why does it seem so inherently beautiful and natural? It's because we see it everywhere. We see it everywhere. Now, Nick, hold up your hand like this. Okay. Now, the distance from here to the bottom of your finger and then to the bottom of your hand, this point is the golden section.
Wow.
Okay. Now, if you click on the next picture, from your elbow to your fingertip, the golden section is your wrist. Exactly.
Amazing.
Okay. It's everywhere in nature. You can't imagine all the places. Leonardo da Vinci made a drawing of a man. You've probably seen it 100 times. And you can see that his navel is on the golden section. Can you see that? On the vertical golden section. Between the top of his head and his feet, the navel is on the golden section. Okay. Now, it's another thing. If we go on to the next... do you remember the original golden rectangle, the outline of this figure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you take the right hand rectangle, the vertical one, you can cut that into another golden rectangle. And then you can continue and continue and continue. You can do this with a ruler and on a piece of paper. And then if you start from the corner and connect the points, the dots all the way around, you create this golden spiral, which is very important. We see the golden spiral, next image, in shells. This is exactly, you can see the golden spiral. We can see it in the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, next one. All of this based on the golden section. And not only tiny things like a flower, but next image, a galaxy.
Wow.
The spiral of a galaxy is based on this golden section, golden rectangle, the golden spiral. Now, how does this help in art? I use it for placing things. For example, I did this watercolor some years ago. I was up in the mountains, it was dawn, and this light was flooding through, and this tree was a beautiful image. And I thought, where am I going to put it? Well, obviously, can you see the golden section?
Yeah.
I hate putting the center of interest of a painting, I hate putting it exactly in the middle. It becomes too symmetrical. But this has a kind of balance. So this is an example of my use of the golden section. The next one, this is an oil painting of a still life I did. Now, you see the pomegranate. Can you see where it is?
Yeah, it's in the golden section.
Golden section. And by coincidence, the left-hand side of the bottle is on the golden section. So there's this semi-visible balance in the painting. It gives it I hope, it gives it a restful quality.
Yeah.
Next one, you know, I've had lots of exhibitions, watercolors, oil paintings, mostly landscapes. But about 3 years ago, I sat and thought, it's time for my next exhibition, but what am I going to focus on? And I happened to be browsing through a book of woodcut prints by the legendary Hokusai, a Japanese engraver. And he had produced a series of 36 prints of Mount Fuji in Japan. Wow. And I thought, wow, what a brilliant idea. So if Hokusai can do Mount Fuji 36 times, maybe Fred can do the fortress 20 times. And that was the beginning of this idea. So I decided I would paint 20 oil paintings, 1 meter by 75 centimeters, based on the fortress. And I would go out and study it before dawn, midday, night, in the winter, in the summer, spring, and I got all these different images. And using the golden section, I arranged them in compositions. Now, the next one, this is a side view of the fortress. You can see it's built on a promontory sticking out from the town of Featham. It was built because of the Ottoman raiders, the pirates, and other people who wandered around the Mediterranean in the 16th century, attacking seaside towns. And the people in Featham got a bit fed up. They were under Venetian rule at the time. So the Venetians said, we're going to build a wall around this to protect the town. So they built this very strong wall in 1570. The next year, 1571, some gentlemen from the Ottoman Empire came and destroyed it. So in 1573, they decided to, I think the word today is refurbish the old castle. So they spent 8 years rebuilding it, and this is what we see.
Oh.
When the Turks took over, centuries later, of course, they built a mosque in the middle. You can see the dome.
Yeah.
Okay. And then later, of course, the Turks left, and this was left for the people of Featham. Okay, next image. Now, this is one of the times when I was up before dawn, waiting for the sun to come out. And suddenly it appeared. It was a cloudy morning. The clouds started clearing. The sun appeared, and it produced this ghostly image of the fortress. Can you see the fortress?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Yeah, and the reflection on the sea. And this moment reminded me of something from the Bible. Let there be light. And
Yeah.
that's why the title of this is Let There Be Light.
Wow, that's absolutely beautiful.
Now, this was early in the morning. The next one is at midnight. Full moon. And again, guess where the moon is?
In the golden section.
The golden section. In reality, it was further, much further to the right. But being a painter, I moved it to the golden section. And of course, I had to accommodate the reflections on the water and so on, but it's in a good position.
Yeah.
Another one, the next one, I was walking around the fortress in the evening, and it's floodlit so that people can admire it. And this, I saw this and I suddenly realized this wasn't my next painting. But the light was just catching the rocks on the side of the fortress in the evening. And it looked so impressive that I painted this. And the little turret, guess where that is?
Golden section.
The golden section. You'll be doing it yourself. You'll be dreaming the golden section before long.
Yeah.
Now, I think you wanted to ask me about my future work. The thing is that this fortress exhibition was finished at Easter last year. But the exhibition, which was due in August, had to be postponed because of COVID.
Yeah.
That's why it's taking place next week. But of course, a painter doesn't stop painting. And I decided that my next theme would be light and water. And so this is the first painting of my next series, Ripples on Water. Okay? And that's that.
Wow. Well, I really speechless, you know. I had no clue about the golden section, but when you really look at it, it just for some
For a
reason.
lot of people, for a lot of people today, even in art schools, I'm told, it's considered old hat. You know, the classical painters used to do this, but today we don't bother with all this nonsense. But for me, it's one of the pillars of beauty.
Yeah, it just it seems so perfect, doesn't it? But
yes,
we just
it's got this beautiful balance. Yeah.
Yeah, it does, and you don't really realize it until someone tells you. And yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. When did you learn about the golden section? How old were you when you?
As I said, I was a teenager, and I was not content with the way I plonked things down in my paintings. They looked lopsided, too symmetrical. I didn't like them. So I decided to open a book, and I found this, the principles of the golden section.
What was if you could remember, what was the first painting you did using the golden section?
I think it was a building at the seaside. There was a sea and the beach coming up, and there was a building, and I put that on the golden section, and it worked.
Yeah, it did. And you know, I didn't really know anything about the golden section before, but now it just seems just so perfect. And, you know, and you mentioned how your art exhibition is it was postponed because of coronavirus, and now it's going to be next week.
Right.
You know, how have you coped over lockdown? Do you think that it's really you know, kind of halted how much work you're producing, or do you think you've managed
Not at all. Even though we were in lockdown, we were allowed to go out to exercise or to go for a ride each day. So I wasn't really restricted in that respect. I could go out and search for subjects. And in any case, painting is quite a lonely business. You sit alone, you and the canvas, quite often your hand trembling, ready to put the first stroke on the canvas. So it's a lonely job, and you get used to being alone. So lockdown didn't really affect me.
Yeah.
I also play the classical guitar. So if I got really bored, I would pick up the guitar and practice a little bit, and everything was fine.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what made you want to start painting about light and water? What made you want to do that?
Well, that stemmed. I find that each idea for an exhibition stemmed from the previous one. In the Fortress exhibition, you can see these are some posters.
Yeah.
This is a glassy surface of the sea. This is a beautiful reflection. And this was the moment when the stars came out. So this is called starlight, okay? And this other one this is only a detail of a large painting. This was one day when the fortress is opposite our house, by the way. We were very lucky.
Oh, wow.
The fortress was floating, hovering, because the color of the sky and the sea was the same. There was no horizon. And that's what prompted me to paint this. So water and light were very important elements in my paintings. So I decided that I would isolate them in a way and concentrate on light and water in different ways.
Well, that's beautiful, and I couldn't really imagine, being there to witness it. And yeah, it must be beautiful to wake up every day and just look upon the fortress, and it just.
Yeah, and it's a challenge as well. I've done 2 or 3 paintings of a blurred landscape as seen through a window. It's as though it's raining and the window has drops of rain. And that was a challenge, to paint drops of rain in front of a blurred landscape. So that's part of my next series.
Wow, that's amazing. And yeah, because obviously because of COVID, the UK is in recession, and kids across the country are really suffering, education-wise. And do you think that it's going to get better, or do you think that this will always affect the people who have currently gone through their time in education? Because
Well,
missing that time, missing that year, do you reckon it's going to affect people going into lives in their turn?
I think it has had an effect on people, because it's quite different to have a lesson via the computer and quite different to be next to your mates and in front of the teacher. It is completely different. But I think COVID, like a lot of epidemics or pandemics, they last about 2.5 years, and then they begin to recede. So I'm very hopeful that things will get back to normal.
Yeah, I'm really hopeful that I will get back to normal, because I missed quite a lot of my education, and it's not the same online. But going into different careers, right now I'm in a crucial point in my education. I'm starting my GCSEs. I think it's time for me to start focusing on a career to do. And you were at that point at some time in your life. And what made you want to pursue a career using your art and your passion for teaching? What made you want to be an artist? What moment?
Well, as I said, when I was very small, my father got me interested in drawing and painting. And I think subconsciously I realized then that eventually I'd be doing something with art, with painting. And that's what I did. And the great thing is that when you are working, in inverted commas, using your hobby, it's not really working. You're just having a whale of a time.
Yeah, you're enjoying yourself, and you're.
Yes. And teaching comes natural to me. I like explaining things.
Yeah, you're a brilliant teacher. The way that you presented that is, it's just amazing. My mind was blown.
Thank you.
Yeah, my family's there, and they understood it perfectly as well, and that's saying something. Yeah, no, you might have faced a lot of challenges, and you've worked really hard to get where you are today. But what would you say is the biggest challenge that you've had to face in your life?
Well, the 2 biggest challenges were these. When I got to Featham and decided to stay here, miraculously, I found my future wife. And shortly afterwards, we went back to England, where she perfected her brilliant English, and we came back to start a school of English. And in those days, schools of English, decent ones, were very few and far between. So we had to start from scratch, really studying, finding out methodologies, adapting it to the Cretan situation. So that was quite a big challenge. And the other one was having to learn Greek almost by myself. There were no schools, no books. The only books were analyzing the Iliad or the Odyssey, which were not very suitable for modern Greek.
Yeah.
But slowly I managed. And now I'm a member of the Institute of Linguists as a translator.
How long do you reckon it took you to, perfect?
Sorry?
Greek? How long do you reckon it took you to perfect Greek?
Well, I've never really perfected it, but I got to a fairly fluent level within about 10 years, I would say.
Yeah, because I need to learn Greek. I'm not too good with it. But
well, you probably know that, when I started learning, I was afraid that the nouns would be masculine and feminine, like I learned at school. That used to drive me crazy.
Yeah,
and then the people here said, "Oh no, we don't have that. We have masculine, feminine, and neuter." I went crazy then. But anyway, you get used to it.
Yeah, because I've been doing French this year and was just learning between masculine, feminine, all these different things. There's like 5 words for one word in English, and it's just.
Well, if I tell you there are 18 words for the word "the."
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely crazy.
You know that,
Yeah, and it really does. It's a challenge. It's hard, and I'm all right with speaking different languages, but it's just I can't focus really, and I think that comes with my disability or dyspraxia, and but we're going through a lot of problems right now, and in the world. So I like to get from you, what do you think is the biggest problem we're facing right now as a humanity, as a species? What do you think is the biggest problem we're facing?
Well, I think it's staring us in the face, but people are not doing a lot about it. Global warming.
Yeah.
All these floods, temperatures of 40 degrees in Siberia. Nature's telling us something. If we don't do something soon, then we are goners, really.
Yeah, exactly. And there's heat waves going all over the place. In England, it might not be hot for some people, but temperatures rising over 30 degrees over here is just abnormal. You don't really hear of it. And where you are going to 45 degrees, it is. It must be an oven over there, and it's like you're cooking alive. And definitely global warming, is staring us right in the eyes, but we're just.
And we have these summit meetings where all the countries sign up to an agreement. We'll promise to do this. They do nothing.
Yeah. People say they do something, but it's just in the end. Yeah, I think sometimes it's to do with greed, to do with power. Maybe we're just.
Yes, it's money.
Yeah, money. I think that's the big thing behind it.
Who expected those floods of all places in Germany?
Yeah.
Destroying buildings, killing people. It's global warming.
Yeah, global warming. It's affecting everyone. And I think people don't really speak about it as much now because of everything going on with coronavirus. And I think it's kind of, protests, about it. It used to be quite big, let's say like a couple of years ago, but now it's just really kind of died down. You don't really hear too much of it on the news because coronavirus. I think people are too occupied with it. And we're all struggling every day. Well, some people are really struggling, and trying to get through certain problems. In England, a lot of people rising with mental health because they don't know how to cope, how to get through this lockdown. It might be because of their friends or family passing away, but there are different ways of coping with certain problems. How do you cope with all these stresses going on in your life? You know, it must be hard over there, you know, with the heat.
Well, it's not too hard. You know, thank God we haven't lost anybody to COVID. But really, a psychiatrist would be in a better position to give you advice on this. Personally, as I said, when I feel a bit down, which happens sometimes, pick up my guitar and play a prelude.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way of thinking about it. You know, you have to find that.
Yeah.
Find
If you
that
get
hobby.
if you find some hobby that you are passionate about, then time stops.
Yeah, and you just go into your own world and you just enjoy it, don't you? And yeah, it's just a way to pass the time, especially. Now, you know, going on to another question, I ask this to everyone I interview because I find it quite interesting hearing about all these different quotes. So, what quote would you say that you try to live by every day? Or it's a quote that you might have made, might have heard?
I don't have a particular quote. It's just an attitude to life. You're not finished when you fail. You are finished when you quit.
Yeah.
So don't quit. Never give up.
Yeah.
You'll get there in the end.
That's a brilliant quote. That's the first time I heard of that one. And yeah, I 100% agree with it. You know, every time we get knocked down, every time we feel like we have to give up, every time we, you know, are not feeling 100%, you know, you have to try and get up because in the end, we'll always try and find a better way. And, you know, a quote that I said, and, you know, I'm going through my GCSEs and I just did a presentation at my school. And the quote that I said, and I really like is, life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. And that's a quote that I like.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, yeah, the quote that you just said, you know, yeah, it never finishes unless you decide it finishes and unless you give up. And you know, just to end off this brilliant interview with you, because you've done thank you so much for coming on here. You know, you've taught me a
Thank you
lot.
for having me. It's been quite an honor.
Yeah, it's just amazing to have you here. But what are your future plans? What is next for you?
Well, as I said, my next exhibition. That's it.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, that's good. And I wish you best of luck. And Forteza is going to be amazing. And you know, you're a brilliant artist.
Well, thank you for having me, and good luck with your future plans. I'm sure you'll get many more awards. You're so committed.
Thank you so much. You know, I try my best, but you know, in the end, it's people like you that really help other people. And you know, being a teacher yourself, you know, you're shaping the future as well with the school that you've founded and that you've grown from the ground up. And you know, as well with your sons and your family, you've all done a brilliant job, and you've all set in stone a legacy that's going to continue for a long time. And
the next stage, which I forgot to mention, the next stage in my artistic development is I was asked to participate in an international exhibition in the Galleria della, I hope I'm saying it right, Galleria della Biblioteca Angelica in Rome.
Wow.
In September. So I'm looking forward to that.
Wow, that's amazing. And yeah, you know, you're probably one of the best artists I know, and that's not even, you know, exaggerating it. You know, just the work that you've done, you know, you've mastered this technique, you found the golden zone, and you're experimenting with, you know, light and water, and it's just amazing to see. So I'd like to again thank you so much for coming in to speak.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you. Okay.
It's an absolute honor. And
hope to see you in Featham on Sunday.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd love to come to Greece one day. You know, I haven't been yet, but yeah, it would be great to speak to you in person and hopefully listening in.
So bye then.
So bye. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Okay, thank you.